Hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sweet Reality Kenya TV. I am your presenter, Otieno Isaiah. On Sweet Reality Kenya TV, we delve on several topical issues, and today we are here to discuss the topic sugar at 50 plus. Is it a no-no? In my panel today is Mr. Samuel Mbeta, Registrar Academic, Sangalo Institute of Science and Technology, with specialty in ICT. Also with me is Mr. Simon Kubasu, Senior Agricultural Officer, with extensive expertise on plant health and nutrition. And last, and indeed first, is Dr. Riziki of Kwetu Pharmaceuticals, Nairobi. Karibuni sana. Dr. Riziki, you are highly welcome to our show. Karibu.
Thank you, Mr. Isaiah.
But better, welcome once more.
Thank you, Mr. Otieno Isaiah. I'm happy that you've given us an opportunity to talk to Sweet Reality Kenya TV. I hope that we are going to have a very enjoyable conversation. Thank you.
Bwana Simon, karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Isaiah Otieno, for making me part of the discussion on the issues to do with whether men above 50 should take processed sugar or not. I'm happy to be part of the discussion.
Yes, Bwana Sonbeta. Is the sugar issue a myth or it is a scientific fact? Let's start with you.
It is both a myth and a scientific fact, because if you look at some of the renowned journals, they actually discourage the consumption of sugar, especially when somebody hits 50 plus, because the level of metabolism also goes down, and breaking sugar in the body actually needs a lot of activity, and at that age you find that most people are not very active. But it can also be a myth, because there are those who consume a lot of sugar and nothing is happening to them. So it is also about how we live, how we interact, and which activities we are engaged in as people who are 50 and above. Otherwise, those that have lived a very active life do not find a serious problem with sugar consumption after the age of 51.
Bwana Simon, Samuel feels it could be a myth, it could be scientific. What is your take as somebody who deals with plant health and nutrition? What is it about nutrition that you could tell us about this?
For me, it's not a myth. It's a fact that age 50 and above, you really don't need a processed sugar. And this is because from that age, we tend to be slower. Our metabolism is very low, and we tend to live a sedentary lifestyle. In that case, getting processed sugar into our bodies does more harm than good, because it exposes us to diseases like diabetes, which are ravaging the population as of now. So for me, I feel if you really have to take sugar, then take natural sugar. Take honey, eat fruits, but do not take processed sugar. It doesn't assist at all. A lot of sugar in the body exposes us to diabetes, as I have said, and especially for people who are senior citizens of 50 and above. And we all know the problems related to diabetes, especially in the area of marriage, because at that level you are very likely to have a broken marriage, because your sexual life is inhibited or it is reduced, and therefore questions of having intimacy, dealing with erectile dysfunction, and not even finishing the trip is a problem that can actually destroy marriages. So it is better for us to be very careful when it comes to taking processed sugar. And by the way, let me put it very clearly that all the carbohydrates that we take are actually sugar at the end of the day. After digestion, any carbohydrate that you take, the end product is glucose, which is also the end product for the digestion of sugar. And we eat so many carbohydrates, so many types of carbohydrates. So in actual fact, the only food that your body does not actually require is sugar, because we get sugar from all types of carbohydrates. So instead of taking sugar and exposing yourself to the problems of diabetes and all those others, the best thing would be, if you can, just forget about sugar, processed sugar. Take natural sugar, and if you can, forget about it completely, leave it completely, so that you can live a productive and healthy life.
Dr. Riziki, tell us about sugar and age. What is the relationship?
If you talk of sugar levels at 50, at early age, it depends with the consumption. As you get old, the metabolism lowers. Some cases they come with the inheritance. Like some sugar cases, you cannot avoid them because of the inheritance, and maybe on the lifestyle.
Now, Bana Simon, when you talk of not taking carbohydrates, you mean we should not eat ugali, we should not eat chapati, we should not take porridge? Is that what you mean? And if that is the case, then what is the alternative?
We should be careful with the kind of food we take, and especially we're talking about sugar. And I said all carbohydrates, after digestion, the end product is glucose, which is essentially sugar. But we also need to be careful with the type of foods, with the type of carbohydrate foods that we take. We need to take those ones that promote good digestibility and therefore good absorbability in the body. And the best ones are the ones that are rich in fiber. You realize all processed foods, they are not rich in fiber, but natural foods are rich in fiber. And fiber, as I said, it promotes effective digestion and also absorption, and therefore absorption in the body. So I'm talking about foods like if you have to take maize meal, then it has to be maize meal right from the posho, because that one has got good amount of fiber. We also have foods like sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are good because they've got a high fiber content. And then another advantage with the sweet potatoes is that you'll get vitamin B12, which is necessary for boosting immunity in the body. We also have other foods like yams. We also have the other foods like arrowroots, which we call in Kenya Nduma and others. So as we try to avoid taking processed sugar, let us try to take the carbohydrates that are rich in fiber that will assist in the issues that I've mentioned.
Does the sugar issue affect both gender?
It is also not about issue of gender, because this affects both men and women, and therefore it is not a male dominated phenomenon. It affects both gender. So consumption of sugar, both gender must be very careful depending on which activities they are engaged in, so that we don't say that the men are more affected than the women. But statistics from maybe medics may be showing something, and that point is also necessary to know which are these activities that such gender are involved in that makes them more susceptible to the attack by these lifestyle diseases, especially those that are related to sugar consumption.
Simon, you talk about sedentary lifestyle. Could you explain this for the sake of the viewers?
Now, with sedentary lifestyle, I mean lifestyle that is not active, so that you find your body metabolism is reduced because you are not active. Remember, excess carbohydrates, or if you are taking excess sugar, at the end of the day, the excess food in the body is converted into fats, and those fats require to be burned. Otherwise, you run the risk of developing high blood pressure. And for that food to be burned, then you need to be very active. And activity means you don't need to go to the gym. If you can afford to go to the gym, that would be okay. But if you can do other simple exercises daily, at least 30 minutes per day, then you are good to go. You can run, you can jog, you can do household chores, you can slash your compound, you can sweep your compound, you can just any kind of activity that increases your metabolism rate, or that increases. And if you have to walk, by the way, walking is a very good method of reducing sedentary lifestyle. You can just walk. You just need to walk briskly, so that your heart beats fast. When it beats fast, then the metabolism is increased, and therefore you are deemed to live an active life. Now, on the issue of finishing the trip, the problem is mostly with the men. The issue, okay, there are two things here. First of all, the urge to have sexual intercourse, if you can allow me to say it, is reduced in both sexes, both men and women. The fact that a man will reduce that urge for sex is the same way the lady will also, the lady's urge will also reduce. But the lady's urge reduces faster because of the issues of menopause. You see, from the age of 45 and above, but mostly from 50 and above, menopause sets in. And when it sets in, then the lady of actually doesn't need sex. So the issue of not finishing the trip is more applicable to men. But ladies, there are some ladies whom above 50, they are still active it doesn't affect them as much as men, but mostly it affects men more than the ladies.
Bwana Samuel, in terms of our eating habits, how easy is it to live like a poor man when indeed you are rich? Is it feasible?
Thank you, Isaiah. Eating like a poor man when you are rich is a big challenge. And in our culture, we cheer our brothers and sisters to death because eating well means you must have a protruding stomach and you must be very fat. But this is where our problem is. Let us not cheer our brothers and sisters when they are obese. Let us encourage them to eat food that can be healthy to them and in moderation. The thing is, let us exercise and let us eat what is necessary. Let us not overeat. There are so many other people out there who have no food. You have excess, don't finish. You can also donate so that we all live healthy. Thank you.
Dr. Riziki, the best advice you can give as we sum up.
Sugars has no specifications. At what age it can check in any other time. And for the early age stages, we sometimes try to do a life history, like maybe in most of the cases they come with inheritance. Actually, for the children, most of the cases we try to do a follow-up with the family background, with the lifestyle up to the particular age. And managing sugar levels at early age is a bit manageable, because when the child is still young, the metabolisms are still strong, so it's something that's easy to manage as the baby grows up. Concerning glucose in children, actually under 10, it's more risky, because when you notice a child is likely to suffer from the same case, you have to discuss it with the parent as early as possible, because with kids the symptoms are very silent, because most of the growth of the kids, you'll never notice it easily, not unless you are very keen with the child, or you frequently take a child for the checkup when maybe you see some alarm.
Doctor, you recommend that one does exercise. I read in a journal that one isn't recommended to jog at 50 plus. Is that true? Because it said it weighs down our bones. Is that true or false? Kindly confirm.
With the exercise, it's not something you can just wake up one day at a certain age and start doing it. For you to maintain your organs and for you to remain strong and healthy, doing exercise is mandatory part of your daily lifestyle. So when you start as early as that, when it reaches a certain point or a certain age, maybe at 50 plus, continuing with the exercise as a daily routine, it doesn't become something hard, and by then you will have controlled the sugar levels. With the exercise just at 50, it's very impossible, because you cannot be weighing 90 plus. You've not been doing exercise, you've just been living your life, then all of a sudden you start doing the exercise. Actually, it will harm you big time. So it's something you start with as early as your age can allow you.
Yes, Bwana Samuel, it's said and said repeatedly that those people who live in the Kibera slums are healthier than those who live in, say, Kitusuru or Runda. Are those the statistics, or what could you comment about this?
Colleagues and friends who stay in slums, they walk several kilometers to their places of work. They also don't use lifts. They don't use vehicles. So this kind of lifestyle, it makes them exercise a lot. I think the hallmark of the whole thing is that let us exercise.
Simon, any additional information about nutrition that we could be missing as we come to a close?
On the issue of eating chapati, mandazi, especially those two, those are wheat products, and prolonged use of wheat products is not useful to us. Actually, it can lead to diseases. Crops like wheat, rye, and barley, they are rich in a chemical called gluten, and gluten is a predisposing factor for autoimmune disease. So, as much as possible, let us try to avoid taking wheat products, because they are not very good for our health. We can use it once in a while, and we can call it moderation. But as much as possible, let us not get used to eating those kind of foods. In as far as ugali and uji is concerned, those are good, but let us do it in moderation, so that we don't develop other issues to do with health. If we eat too much of anything is not very good, and we know very well even too much of ugali will lead to deposits of fats in the body, and therefore it will predispose us to diseases like hypertension and others. So the issues is moderation. We eat in moderation. We don't eat. We cannot stop people from eating chapati and mandazi because they like it so much. But let them do it in moderation. Thank you.
As we approach the end of the show, Daktari, talk to us about gluten. Gluten and gluten in rye, in wheat, in barley. Why do we consume bad food knowingly?
It's not consuming bad food knowingly, because like for instance where we are in Africa, we consume what is available. As you grow up, you will not dictate maybe your parents to give you what you want to eat, but you'll eat what is available. With gluten, for example, gluten, you can get it from wheat, from sugars, it only depends with the consumption and how you consume it, and with the purpose, because some people are strictly to some diet that is just contributing to the gluten, so which is making it hard as well to control it from the system. And so that's why we say it sometimes glucose or diabetes is brought up by what we call lifestyle, because your lifestyle, you can control the kind of lifestyle you live, the kind of food you consume, because gluten, you'll find it everywhere, almost every food you eat concerning that is containing sugar. So it's you to control it. Like some things are not a must for you to consume it, consume them, because if at all you can do without sugar in your tea, then you can help yourself from gluten as well.
Parting shot, Samuel, as we end this otherwise very elaborate discussion, what would you tell the listeners and the viewers?
For the viewers and listeners, let us eat food that is good for health. Let us not eat excess, any type of food, let us not eat it excessively. And the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to exercise when you are over 50, because exercise increases our metabolism, and this helps us break the sugar that can be dangerous to us. And therefore, I want just to call upon our viewers and our listeners that eating healthy does not mean that you eat in excess of a certain type of food, but let us eat in moderation. And the best we can do for ourselves is to exercise more. Thank you, Isaiah.
Simon, as we finish the discussion, as we come to the end of it all, what is the general advice you could give the listeners about our discussion? What is it that you can tell them about dieting, about nutrition, as you are parting short?
My parting shot to the listeners would be that let us try to live a healthy life. This life is good to live, and we need to live long. And for us to live long, we need to live healthy, and we need to be active. And let's go back to let's go back to the living, to live the life that our parents or those before them lived. You see, they lived a very long life. Many of them are living above 80, above 90, some are even going to 100. But these days you find that people, once they reach 50, or sometimes even less, they don't live long because of the kind of life we live. Sedentary lifestyle, and living and eating poorly. Let me just say that it is better to eat like a poor man. Eating like a poor man means that we eat what the poor men actually eat. And if you've just realized from my discussion, is that the foods that we are advocating are the foods that are common with the poor. The potatoes, the cassava, the arrowroots or nduma, and the posho ugali. And if you notice, many of them live better lives than those ones who eat processed foods. That includes many of us, me included, although I also try to live a better life. So let us just live healthy, and let us also eat healthy to live a longer life. And if I can just mention also, all of us know that the people who live below the $2 per day, which is called below the poverty line, those ones whom we call poor, they're actually poor in terms of money. They don't have money, they don't have wealth, but they're very rich in terms of health, because they eat these foods that are cheap but very healthy. The same cannot be said of the people who are rich, who drive themselves all over the place, who don't jog, who don't walk, who don't work, who don't do manual work, and who don't live as long as those ones who we normally refer to as poor. They are poor in because they don't have money and they don't have riches, but they are wealthy in terms of health. Thank you very much.
There you have it, viewers and listeners. This is Sweet Reality Kenya TV. If you have not subscribed to this channel, then you know what you are missing by